All right, let's try this again. Welcome into your Texas State and Eastern Michigan preview. This is my first preview of the season. I'm also going to go over my season preview and what my thoughts are on the season at the end after I break down like what I think about Texas State, Eastern Michigan. So we lost a lot of position players last year. I believe uh, we lost Ishmael Mahdi, we lost Joey Hobart, Chris Don. No, Chris Don is on the depth chart, I believe. Yeah, Chris Don Jr. came back, uh, but we lost a lot of pieces last year um, on offense, including some of our offensive linemen. But I'm looking at the depth chart now, and Brad Jackson has been named the starter. I do believe that he will surprise a lot of people. Kenny spoke, Coach Kenny spoke very glowingly of him during a press conference I was watching via When Hour Get Bent. And this is where also I got the depth chart is from Kev Cardello and When Hour Get Bent. Shout out to them. And we have Brad Jackson starting at quarterback, Lincoln Perry. At Kenny loves his oars. We have Lincoln Perry, Terrence Burgess, and Burrell as the three oars at starting running back. And one of the reasons why he does this is he goes with the hot hand, and then Jalen Jenkins is going to be, I guess, the primary backup, and then Kylan Evans is going to be your outside receiver on the at the X. He is 6'2", 200 pounds, which is pretty tall. And also Brad is, I believe, taller than um, McLeod was last year. So we have he's 6 foot tall, which is relatively good for a quarterback. But he's got to be a little bit taller because this offensive line is the biggest offensive line in the country. They average around looks like 6'5", 315 pounds. There's a big dude at Emeka Obigo. He is 6'5", 374, and he's at left guard, which that is amazing that we have him. And then Dorian Strawn is uh, at the blindside tackle spot, or strong side tackle, and then the left side of the offensive line is huge. The right side, which is usually the pull side, is relatively light and looks to be agile. And then we have Brock Riker at center, which he's the smallest guy on offensive line at 290, which is still a pretty good size. And then on the defense, we have Tamir Jackson at defensive end, Cameron Washington at defensive tackle. The nose tackle is either going to be Jordan Sanders or Ami Police Longi. Ami Police Longi, I think that's how you pronounce it. And then he's at the nose tackle. We run a 4-2-5 scheme mixed with the 3-4 scheme. It's uh, very, 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 very complex. And then Khalil Alexander is at the edge. Uh, he, we know what we have with him. He is the stalwart of the defense. He's been there for a long time. He knows the system. He's a captain, I believe. Aiden Jones at the wide side linebacker, and middle linebacker is Traylon Payne, which is like the quarterback. Um, at cornerback, we have Jaden Rios. Nickel, we have Marion Atwood. Free safety, we have Rylan Nolan. Strong safety, we have Bobby Crosby, which last year he laid a lot of big hits, so I'm glad that he is starting and getting to shine a little bit this year. And then cornerback is uh, Camden Grogan. Camden Grogan. Um, One of the things that Kenny likes to do, especially on defense, McCoyle, like he loves to rotate people in and out. So if you're on the two deep, we're gonna be seeing a lot of the two deep. A lot of those last year, I remember them rotating defensive line in and out all the time, all the time. We did lose a kicker, a really good kicker last year, Mason Shipley, and he's being replaced by Tyler Robles. David Nunez is the punter. Believe last year we had Seamus O'Kelly. Um, and then long snapper is Austin Turner, the kick returner. Is going to be shared between Jalen Jenkins towards Burgess and Lincoln Perry. I do believe that we're going to see a lot of Jalen Jenkins back there because he is the quasi third, fourth string running back. So they're probably going to put him a lot. It's probably going to be majority him and Burgess on the kickoff returns. And then Bo Sparks and Ty Mims are your punt returners. Bo Sparks, he had a few really good returns last year, and I'm kind of excited to see what he can do this year. He single-handedly brought us back and put us in the ability to win the Georgia State game, but he just couldn't pull that one out last year. So I don't have the Eastern Michigan depth chart, but from what I heard about that team, it's almost like a mirror image. I like to call Texas State a glass cannon as far as the team makeup, because if our offense does not click and does not score, we don't win the game. That's we have like I've noticed I noticed last year. This is a statistic that I kind of broke down. I'm a big numbers guy, and I ran the numbers at the end of the year last year. Anytime we scored, I think more than 14 points in the first quarter, we had a good opportunity to win. But on the flip side of that, we did do that a couple of times and lose the ball game. I believe against Arizona State, we scored the first 14 points of the game and lost that game. Same thing with St. Houston State, and we almost lost against Lamar, even though we had 15 points in the first quarter. And with that being said, whenever the opponent scores more than 20 points in a ball game, we lost last year about 80% of the time. So, and then whenever we scored more than 35 points, I believe it was like 35.6 or something like that, we won the game 90% of the time, or like 9 out of 10 times. So with that being said, this game could go one of two ways with me. It could go into a shootout, which won't end up in a good spot for the Bobcats. The defense needs to hold their ground. They need to stop Eastern Michigan and hold them to under 20 points. And just looking at, I'm not trying to diminish Eastern Michigan, but just looking at what they have on tape from last year, I think they can do that. But also, we had the tendency in the past to take opponents for granted, so and play down to them. Which hopefully in year 3 they learn not to do that, and the player-led locker room can rally and not let that happen this year. Because that's why we lost a couple of games last year. We lost the Sam Houston State game. We lost the Arizona State game because we got complacent. And I fully believe that. And we almost lost the Lamar game because of that same reason. The only reason why we won the Lamar game was off of talent alone. But my score prediction for this game is around, I believe it will be 42-20. And we will, it will be a close game at halftime, but we'll make adjustments at half and come out swinging in the third quarter and pull it out. It'll be like The spread 42-20 seems like a big spread, but I think it'll be like it'll be a winnable. It will be a close game all the way up until the beginning of the fourth quarter, and then Texas State will just run away with it and go into the UTSA game 1-0. Now let me pull up the schedule real quick. So I have us going 1-0, beating Eastern Michigan. And I'm going to nickname this year the Texas State Revenge Tour because we're going to be leaving the Sun Belt this year and going to the Pac. And I fully believe that. I'll reveal this later, but I'll talk about this more later. But I think we'll be end up in the Sun Belt Championship. So, have us winning against Eastern Michigan 42-20. The next week, we will have a very close game. It's going to be a dogfight against UTSA. I think it's going to be like 35-30 or something to that effect. Because this is not the same UTSA team, and it'll be a totally different atmosphere than last year. That we beat 49-10 last year. It'll be a challenge, but I think with the squad that we have on paper, we have a good chance of winning that. And also, it's going to be a revenge tour. We have to prove that we belong in the Pac-12. And that will be motivation enough for us to win on Saturday. This September 6th. And on Saturday, September 13th, we go into Arizona and play Arizona State. To me, I believe the coaching staff has this. They have this marked as a game they have to win because they should have won last year. They came super close to winning last year. They let the game slip away. I believe it's going to be a hard fought game. I believe we're going to get our win back and get our mojo back from last year and go 3-0. In Nicholls State, which is going to be on the 28th of September, there's no reason we should lose that game. Unless they just totally just expend all the energy against Arizona State. There's no reason why we should lose. I believe that will be like the cleanup game where we put in our backups, put in Yarnell, put in all our backups, and we see what we have for the future. And then we have a week off on the 27th. And then here is the trap game that I'm worried about. It's against Arkansas State. This is that weird game that I think is going to happen. We always have one weird game a year, and this is no smack to the team. I just believe we're going to lose this game just because it's coming off a bye week. They're going to be in a rhythm coming out of the Nicholls State game. They're going to lose their rhythm and just not. It'll just be a weird game. I have a weird feeling about that. So they're going to be 4-1 coming into homecoming. Sorry about coming into homecoming against Troy. I believe since it's homecoming and they're going to get the rhythm back and they're going to want revenge from losing against Arkansas State a week earlier, they're going to just wipe out Troy. And Troy, last year they didn't really have anything. This year, I don't think they're not expected really to do anything. So I believe that will be the case, and we will beat Troy. And then I have us losing, and then we go to Marshall that next week on October 18th. I have us losing against Marshall for a couple of reasons. One, we have a tendency when we go out east to kind of come out flat. I believe the JMU game where I believe it was back in 2013. No, that was 2020. That was 2022 because that's where the players gave up on Spavital. And then that was against JMU where we got blitzed and wiped out. It wasn't even a close game. It was an ugly game to watch. And it was also very, very rainy. And then we played Coastal Carolina, I believe, in 2023 and also had a weird game and just lost. And then last year, ODU was just, I don't know what was going on with that game. It was just weird. Sorry about, excuse me. Um, yeah, we have us losing against Marshall, and it's just gonna be a weird game. I probably it's gonna be a close game, but it's gonna be a loss. And then we have a off week that next Saturday to get ready for a Tuesday game against James Madison. That will be a statement win. That will be a statement game. For the next two games, James Madison and Louisiana. Those two games, to me, need to be the statement that we belong in the Pac 12. Like, out of all the games, there's four games I've personally circled on the schedule as statement games: UTSA, Arizona State, James Madison, and Louisiana. Those four games, to me, are the most important in proving that Texas State does belong in the Pac-12, and if we have a chance of being in the college football playoff, we need to win those games because those teams are the ones that are in talks of possible college football playoff, especially Arizona State. If we beat Arizona State and Kenny Dillingham does his magic in the Big 12, we have a shoe in to the college football playoff. I'll discuss more about that when we get to the end of the schedule, but that's just a little preview of my thoughts on that. And then we have Southern Miss. This game is going to be a lot closer than people are going to say. Charles Huff brought a lot of his players from Marshall, which won the Sun Belt Championship last year, to Southern Miss, including his quarterback. So they're going to have a full cupboard of talent there that they didn't have last year. And we all know what happened last year between these two teams. I don't think that's going to happen again this year. I think it's going to be a lot closer. ULM, just based on what their athletic department's going through, I don't think this game's even going to be close. In case you haven't read the tea leaves, ULM had to slash their budget down to less than $20 million this year. And now Brian Vincent, their head coach, is also their AD. And there's rumors about them going down to the FCS. So that team is going to be in disarray this year. It's not going to be pretty at all up there in Monroe. South Alabama, this game could go one of two ways. I can see it going as a win or a loss. If Texas State is in the hunt for the college football playoff and a Sun Belt championship, it will be a resounding win. But if it's one of those situations where the season doesn't go the way they planned and the way I think it might go, it will probably be a close loss because demoralizing. And also South Alabama needs to get their mojo, needs to get their win back from last year, and get the home field advantage back in the series. And here we go to the Sun Belt Championship, 10-2, with losses to Marshall and Arkansas State. I believe we will be going up against Appalachian State in the Sun Belt Championship, with the game being in San Marcos. I believe we will win that game and be crowned Sun Belt champions this year. It sounds crazy. I know, just hear me out though. The way the schedule's laid out this year is very favorable for them to win the championship. But again, like they have to win against James Madison, Louisiana, in order for that to happen. And I have a feeling those two games are circled on the coach's schedule, or on the on the meeting boards and in the locker room. Same thing with UTSA and Arizona State. Those 4 games, they need to win those games in order for this season to matter. And if with Boise State doing what they did last night, they're not the favorites to be the group of 5, or at this point, group of 6 representative in the football playoffs this year. It is up in the air. I believe right now it's probably USF as the favorite because of how I think they won 34-7. Which, yeah, it was 34-7. Which, if Texas State plays all their cards right, and USF has a stumbling block, or has a stumble, and goes 10-2 just like us, and loses out in the American. I have a feeling whenever it gets to American play, the American Conference always eats themselves alive because of how good the teams are. It's the same with the Sun Belt, because you never know what's going to happen in the Sun Belt. I've noticed it's always been kind of dog eat dog in the Sun Belt and dog eat dog in the American Athletic, because all the top teams are very, very similar and very, very equal. But with that being said, I'm going to predict that Texas State's going to be the group of 6 because they have the motivation to do it. A lot of noise has been going on about them getting that invite to the Pac-12, or whatever you want to call it now. The Pac. I just call it the Pac. And they have a lot to prove this year, and I believe they have the team to do it. They have the quarterback to do it. Brad Jackson, I've seen good things from him when he was at Reagan. I was a referee for a few of his games, and I knew he was going to be a college football quarterback one of these days. And seeing him at Texas State and seeing what he did and how smart he was with the ball against ODU, like, we won that game because of him and because of his decision making. If he can do that on a week's notice, imagine what he can do with a whole off season of notice that he's going to be the starter. Just think about that. He had the whole off season to get ready, and even last year he was getting ready. And this is the first quarterback that Texas State has had under Kenny that has been there for more than a year and has rapport with Kenny and knows his language in the offense. The prospect of that makes me giddy. But Saturday will show the world what I already know to be true, and what Bobcat Nation already knows to be true, that we, until the whole world hears our name, we will cry the Bobcat cry. And also, shout out to Win Hour Get Bent for the I just wanted to shout them out. They gave me the depth chart, or they put the depth chart online, and I use that. Shout out to FB Schedules, because I use them for the scheduling. I'll see you around at the stadium this year. I'm not gonna be here. I'm not gonna be there for week 1. I have some prior commitments. And also I'm saving a little bit of money up for. I'm saving a little bit of money this weekend just so I can. I'm in the process of moving to San Marcos, so I need to save money for that. But if I do get tickets from an outside source, I will most certainly go. But as of right now, I am not going to the game. So I'll be watching on ESPN Plus and commenting on Twitter, on X, about what I see. And then I will break it down on Saturday night in a live stream like I'm doing now. I'll also break down some of the other games. I'll want to break down the UTSA and Texas A&M game, because that's of note, because we're playing UTSA next week, and we can pretty much compare the two teams and see how the game's going to go. I'm also going to look at the UT and the games I'm looking. So the games I'm going to be watching this weekend are obviously Texas State, Eastern Michigan, Ohio State, and Texas, UT, and A&M, UTSA. For Texas and Ohio State, I believe that Ohio State's going to win that. They're playing at home, playing in that environment. UT has never been there. Um, DKR is just as big as Ohio Stadium, but Ohio Stadium is just top notch. And they're going into they have to travel up to Columbus and play at 11 o'clock. So that also plays into my decision of Ohio State winning because playing at 11 o'clock in the morning and traveling is hard. The UTSA A&M game, I believe that UTSA is going to give A&M a fight all the way up until the second half, and UTSA is just one of the things the trailer does is, especially in these games, like they're going into like these payday games, as I call them. He's not going to expend all the players' energy. He's going to save it for week 2 against Texas State, and also so that they don't get hurt. And Owen McCown will probably exit the game in the third quarter after they're down by just 14 points, and they're just going to get paid and just move on. So that'll do it for this little live stream, this little podcast. If I'm grabbing my X down, my X is down in the description. If you want to communicate with me through X, I'll be posting on X all throughout the day and all throughout the weekend about my thoughts on the games. And I'm also on the Bobcat, the Maroon and Golden forum. If you want to communicate with me on there, I'll be kind of posting my thoughts there too. Other than that, have a good rest of your day. Have a good weekend and enjoy week